Yay! It's me, Joey, only Caribou Weather Dude, just home for a few minutes here. Thought I'd throw together a quick forecast for you, let you know how it's going on. The boys in the truck today on the drive in, they were watching on the phone Only the Brave, the Grant Mountain Hot Shot movie, so I thought I'd wear my Hot Shots hat. Saying hello to McCandless and all my American friends down there. Hope you're doing well, hope your fires are going good, hope everyone's safe. Anyways, okay, so we had a bit of a cool down in BC for just, it's been about a week now. It's been cooler weather, maybe not in some cases as cool as you'd like. It's not cool enough to suppress all fire activity, but some regions are taking a pretty good hit. In some cases, we've been able to catch up on some of these fires and, maybe even get a bit ahead on some of them too. So this has been a really wonderful time. We didn't have a break like this last year at all. It was just, once sort of the down weather in June passed, it was just burn, 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 burn. Hot, 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 dry, 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 right on through to the end, right? So it's a positive that we've had this cool down. Of course, it had some explosive weather to kind of make it, but that made some more fires. But hey, good. This has been some positive news. Trying to have some positive news, right? Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure that the Kootenays is going to get as much rain as maybe I thought it would. Some models are still saying yes, in limited scope. The Caribou looks to be a good target this week, so expect some rainfall into the Caribou this week, and that's good. It's going to keep hammering down some fires that need to be destroyed. However, we're going to come back into a pattern that won't be the heat wave we had in July, but we may be approaching some heat wave values as we get into August, right? So we got fire weather ahead, dry air, low humidity. Fire likes to breathe dry air, doesn't like to breathe wet air. So we come into a situation where fires might start standing up, as we get into August and start doing their thing again, more ones that have been quiet and this and that. So let's try to walk you through it and see everything that I got to show for you about the situation and what to expect, and anything that I missed from last week's video, the last video I made. Okay, let's go. There it is. This is bad news. My God. Falling out right now. Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. Ain't dry mopping this. Yeah, thanks for the hat. One of my cherished gifts. Yeah, I hope you guys are all well down there. I know there's a lot of fire activity. You're probably very, very busy. Okay, let's go have a look at the jet stream, folks. We got weather coming in. Tuesday looking mostly. Some instability we'll throw into the Caribou before that. But here we go. Once we get that rain system sort of out of the way, we get into a pattern back to what we kind of more or less have been experiencing over the last, since July, right? So July began. So that's what we're kind of looking at. Here we go. Bam, rain. And maybe some Thursday, we'll see. But Friday, we're looking to see that ridge of high pressure build and the warmth flowing up into BC and return to fire weather active conditions. And while you watch the graphic, pay attention down here to the formation of some possible hurricanes. Bam! There it is. Pacific hurricane. There it goes. And we got some areas of instability over in the second one may even form, right? So we have these areas of instability where tropical storms may form and they may turn into hurricanes. That is quite possible. And the Atlantic even has one sitting out there near the Lesser Antilles, Greater Antilles, Leeward Islands, and that could be our next hurricane in the Atlantic Basin. Looking at Monday in BC and the Yukon as well, we do have that risk up there for what would be a little bit stronger winds, a little bit of thunderstorm activity for sure. We're concerned that we may see moderate storms that could drop some good rain in places, localized mostly where those thunderstorms land, and could come with some gusts of wind as well. So those are things we do want to kind of look out for tomorrow, especially if you get down to 100-mile house and stuff like that. We don't want too much wind. So talking about precipitation projections, the HRDPS still has some hitting into the Valhalla Mountains, but this is not what we were hoping for, and that's in the next 48 hours. So maybe the RDPS will have more to say soon. We do have some chances for higher local precipitation in around Seymour Arm and places up north of Salmon Arm out there in Shuswap. Hopefully some of that rain makes it down here, because when we looked at ECMWF a couple days ago, it was more certain that there was going to be. Now we do have some rain totals hitting the mountains, right? we need to see more of that in this area for sure. So we're really hoping to see one of these models be wrong about more rain come down where we expect. But where will the rain be? Looks like Fort Nelson's going to take some. Maybe not a great deal, but the North Rockies getting some of the Caribou in the next 5 days. 25 mils maybe, especially locally higher. And thunderstorms Monday. So there's some rain coming. And the last bouts of rain in the Caribou did a lot of good. Yeah, I mean, it set those fires down. They went into hiding. In some cases, they're still out there. Little hot spots out there. Yeah, just waiting to kind of wake up when the weather gets warm again, when the humidity gets low again, when the wind starts picking up, right? So when we get to that active fire weather, some of these quiet fires are going to display some behavior and activity. We will look in a little bit about what has happened for fire activity in the last 48 hours or so, more or less, just to give you a picture, but not, not an exact idea. I'm not here to give you exact specifics on fires. I'm not a fire information officer, and I don't have time to know what's going on anywhere else but the fire that I'm working, right? So I don't have time to do anything, hardly keep up on weather. So I'm trying my best here for you. So we still have that big high pressure sitting in this. It's taken over most of the Pacific. Nice big high pressure, and that's been feeding clockwise cooler air into much of BC for sure. It's really helped, and it's going to throw some precipitation in over the next couple days, most definitely. So that's good news. And this is what the GFS model is saying. So maybe the north getting some through into Thursday, but then look, here comes the warm. See those warm isobars? Bam, high pressure. Ooh, taking over. So you got low down here feeding warm air up into BC, and you got the high pressure here. And we may see at times some thunderstorms, and we'll figure out what's going on with that in a few minutes. But that's just kind of a brief look into August and what maybe we could kind of expect in the next couple weeks. Maybe some thunderstorm events, but that's far out. But here's our possible hurricane showing up, right? So 951, that's deep. The models seem to think that it's going to produce. So let me just look at heat over the next bunch of days. Of course, cools down at night, but see better conditions Tuesday and Wednesday in BC. Not quite as hot. Again, some precipitation moving through until Friday, more or less, when we see that heat explode across North America. Look at some of those values down south. Extreme heat down there, most certainly. And again, into the 90s in southern BC by Sunday. So we're coming into a pattern now where that heat is going to try to make its way into BC again. And some of that may trigger heat warnings as we get into the month. And just having a look at the overall satellite picture, you see a pretty healthy stream of precipitable water moving up in the British Columbia interior right now. So getting a little bit of cloud cover, that's helping keep things cool. So then the big question is, where do our thunderstorms go this week? Are there going to be an outbreak of thunderstorms at some point with a little bit of the weather change going on? Well, Monday looks like we could most certainly see, like we saw earlier, into the Caribou, a bit of a risk through 100 Mile of some thunderstorm activity, but nothing serious. Maybe a chance at nighttime for Vernon or places like that. But I mean, these are popcorn storms that are most likely going to live in the mountaintops. And that may be the worst thing about them, is that's where the trees are. More or less, though, we're not looking through most this week at anything too extreme, and most not. But in the north, that would be quite different. So the unbelievable amount of thunderstorm activity that's been going on in the Northwest Territories and into Fort Nelson and places like that, it's going to sort of pick up again this week once again. It's still been pretty warm up there, man. Like, they had heat warnings and stuff going on this week. So that's where most of our thunderstorm story is going to be this week, is in the north, until we get sort of later in the week, and then maybe we see some stronger activity in the prairies. But Friday is a day that could be a game changer. And we see this is a obviously pretty elaborate system from northern Ontario all the way down through. We'll watch what it does here in a second, but let's just focus in on British Columbia for a second and see. These aren't deep reds yet at Friday at 3 o'clock, but it seems pretty widespread. So that's not good, considering that a lot of places aren't getting the rain that we kind of hope for, and we know there's warm weather coming. So we could have lightning starts that turn into fires pretty quickly after an event like this. We'll hit play on the tape. Hit play on tape. Here we go. Hit and play. And where's things going to go? There's a little bit further out. So, we're not looking at extreme outbreak on Friday, but we'll try to revisit that if I have time this week, or at least if you're on Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers on Facebook, I'll do my best to keep you updated on that. So we could could see southern BC get some thunderstorms, and we'll look at how that changes as we get into the week. But Saturday, again, looking like, eastern BC, similar locations to where some of our last thunderstorm outbreaks have been. The severity doesn't seem to be there yet. So I think to get that sort of severity of any kind, which is damn near impossible. I mean, I don't think anyone in BC can recall a thunderstorm outbreak that was like that. Man, look at Manitoba this weekend and look at Northern Ontario. That's some scary thunderstorm activity. So I'm sure my storm chaser friends are going to be quite busy on those very intense looking thunderstorm. But all in all, we're not looking at severity with the storms this week, I don't think. We're a little far out though. That's looking at Friday, and that's a little far out. And then we're looking at 8 days away on the graphic, and that's very far out. So the bigger question more right now would be, how warm are things going to be? We'll just take 3 o'clock in the afternoon as a representative example, but some of these temperatures aren't that bad Tuesday. This is good. This is down weather, and we'll cross-reference that with our humidex values, which are not looking like we're going to see some of that crossover weather for a few days. So we're pretty happy about that. And it's going to be drier in through the Kootenay, through the Okanagan. That's normal. This section near Gold, it's too bad because that's where fire activity's been bad lately, but it's a dry area, and these aren't extremely low humidity values, but it's enough to kind of keep fires active for sure. Whereas you sort of look at some of the places in the Caribbean Mountains, this is the kind of humidity that will keep storms living in keep fires living in the ground. I'm tired. I'm talking troubles. This is talking troubles I'm having right now, but things will dry out this week down south slowly, and the temperature will start to rebound. The Fort St. John, they're going to get a lot of wind up there at some point, so we are concerned about that. Temperature's still on Wednesday, not through the roof at 4 o'clock, right? I mean, you expect to see 28 degrees in Kamloops. That would be normal summer weather, 29 degrees, 30 degrees in Kamloops, Despite what anyone says, I know it gets to be 35 in Kamloops frequently, that happens, but 38 degrees for weeks on end and 40 and higher, that's not normal weather. That's not in any part of the world. Maybe in Death Valley and maybe in the interior of Australia or somewhere, but we're looking at higher temperatures hitting into the 35s by Friday, and that's concerning. That really is, because the last thing we want is heat to help wake up some of these fires again. And it looks like the southern interior, especially warm. And we're going to take a look at winds as we go and see what goes on with that. But southern interior especially warm, and not too bad to the Caribou, into the 20s, high 20s. That's nice summer weather for sure. But it also comes with low humidity, and that is definite fire weather. That's crossover weather for sure. So we're getting back into a pattern, I think, in August, where we're going to see the kind of activity that fire likes to behave crazy in. Right? This isn't the worst we've seen this summer already. We've seen worse this summer for sure. But this is bad enough considering the situation we're in, right? If you are a fire crew and you're watching this, like, take advantage of all this time, man. Like, I know sometimes we tend to work slow and safe when things are slow, but don't get lulled into a false sense of slow. That's all I'm saying, right? Like, try to pound as much ground as you can right now, because we are looking at higher temperatures, especially in southern BC. And it's going to continue on right into next week for sure. And again, 30, that's not crazy. It's not crazy hot. And that's a week out, so I don't know if that's exactly what's going to happen. But you cross-reference that with 18% humidity. That's definite fire weather. Now let's have a look at the wind accumulation and things like that, and see if we can get a picture. So which places are we looking at the most wind this week? Some of these places are not where we want it. For sure, Cranbrook doesn't want to see 50k wind, but this is wind accumulation, right? So don't expect that I'm saying, oh, there's going to be 50-kilometer winds. But this is, looking at over the next week, who is going to get this next work week, who's going to get the most wind, and you go further north. That's my concern up there for the Fort Nelson area and whatnot. Man, like, there's been so much fire up there for so long, right? It'd be just so nice if we could have conditions continue for a little while longer that suppresses things and cools things off. So, but yeah, some of these wind values are concerning. Monday, definitely concerning down in the southeast corner of BC, right? So, and it's not like it's exactly cold down there. And like I've shown you the temperatures we're looking at down there still in the 20s, and we know that the humidity's not high, so it's definitely weather that fires can move and do things in. If there's strong winds there, well, that's not helping anything. We're looking at wind gusts and not just normal winds, steady winds, is because we want to get a good picture of like how hard can she blow, right? So up to 64 km on Tuesday up in the north. Those are strong winds, and even in unsettling conditions, sometimes winds like that will still make fires get up and move and do things. And the piece is looking pretty windy this week. We do have that wind in eastern BC and that wind along the mountains. Maybe it's going to be a little calmer at the heat of the day, maybe a little calmer in the Cariboo and central interior, and that's good news. But we are concerned about some of this fire activity down southeast for sure, and we want them to take more rain than we want them to take the rain that we thought they were getting last time I made a forecast video, and that chance is still there, but it really looks like they're going to get skipped over a fair bit. Nonetheless, cooler conditions will prevail, and that will help fire activity a little bit, and we do see a decrease across the board in fire ratings coming. Now, here we are looking at today's fire danger rating put out by Canadian Forest Fire Information System, National Fire. Here we go. So things have really started to improve since, we looked at a map that was from the 23rd last time. We looked at a map going forward, and we saw that conditions would improve in Ontario through the east. They definitely had some fire conditions that weren't good there. Southern Alberta still looking pretty, what do you expect? Southern Alberta is dry and hot at the best of times, but that's, the chance for grass fire, and still up through the Northwest Territories, it's pretty bad. And then these indices aren't good for the piece. And we look at our buildup index, we still see a lot of the West is pretty dry and pretty ready to go, right? So we're not in a situation where this downturn in weather has been a game changer at all. No, I mean, fires are still going, and you know, right? And we knew that when things had been so hot for so long, and we knew that would mean any cold front that came in would trigger wind and trigger crazy thunderstorms. That happened, and we knew that disaster was a high possibility given that scenario. And unfortunately for Jasper, unfortunately for the people who have been evacuated, I believe Slocan area would be one example. Unfortunately for them, they haven't had the benefit. The Cariboo's looking good. Certainly Wells Barkerville fire took not game-changing rain, probably the kind of rain that would put fire in the ground and make it hide. So it's still there in a lot of these places, even if the activity's been down for a few days. We bump up that BUI index. Not much change in some cases, but it looks like we're going to see, as we get to the end of July, those indices getting higher again up in that northeast corner where things have been fucked up for quite a long time, for a couple of years now almost, right? So, and south still looking pretty bad. So things had quieted down in the northeast the last time we looked. I kept saying northwest for some goddamn reason. I was so tired last time when I kept trying to refer to the northeast. So some of those fires in BC definitely waking up, and fires in Alberta looking pretty angry. But all in all, less dots than we've been seeing, because we had that mid-latitude cyclone come through this week and really hammer some rain into these areas. So that sat a lot of fires down. Doesn't mean they're out, though. No, they're not out. And you can't just, people say, can you just put it out? And like, no, it's not that easy, man. Like, they hide, they live in the ground, they do what they want. K70910, definitely showing continued activity down there, right? So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the road closures and blah, blah, blah. You need to look at your authorities, look at Drive BC, look at BC Welfare Fire Service for evacuation, look for alerts. Maybe you want to check your local regional district. That's not my forte. I don't really talk about that as much because I'm just talking about the weather that leads to the conditions that might increase burning or maybe start new fires or maybe put them out. In the Purcells, these are beautiful forests up here, and some places that can't afford to lose trees, but that's what's happening in some cases. These guys down both by Slocan and here they're all across that Slocan Lake. Some activity, not as crazy as we'd been seeing though necessarily. So I mean, this isn't necessarily come 100%. This is what's happening right now. I'm not saying that, but this just shows like how has there been fire activity today in some of these places? Yeah, there's been a little bit up and down the valley there, south of Golden, and a little bit in this guy. He's deep in the Rockies, and then south of Golden. That's N21427, showing a fair bit of activity. It looks like it's sort of burning upside the mountain, more or less, right? So that's kind of a picture of what's going on. And of course, you probably want to know what's been happening up here in the Seymour area. Again, a few dots, but things are sort of subdued. We've seen a lot of these fires be a lot more active in the past, right? So really nice to see that continue. No real fire activity going on at C11303. No real, front of flame moving, no serious activity. Again, that's a fire that and probably living in the ground because it took some rain, and it's going to take some more rain, right? So good news in some places. A break from fire activity is nice, all in all. And we just have a look at sort of what we know about Jasper for fire activity. But up and down that 93, I mean, that exploded like holy fuck. The whole valley is just ripped and gone. I'm sure that was explosive fire behavior. Some said they haven't seen anything like it in a long time, a firestorm, right? And then we know on the edge of Jasper this week. And we know that we didn't get good readings because the smoke was so thick and the rain was so thick. I mean, yeah, I said last time, I find that hard to believe, but I didn't mean that in any conspiratorial way. I just found that remarkable and shocking, and I learned something, like, oh yeah, cloud cover can really make it hard for the satellite to penetrate too. That's, of course. So that's another reason why you can't look at some of these and just, sometimes the satellite's picking up hot smoke and things like that. So Pyramid Mountain, fire activity up there. That's too bad. That's a beautiful, beautiful place. So maybe fire spread is a little bit suppressed right now in BC, all in all. But increasing as we get into the week, increasing in the places that have been active for a long time, increasing down south. As we get into that warmer weather, that chance for fire activity picks up. So anyways, hit like, share, subscribe. I would really, really appreciate that. Here's my YouTube channel. It's got lots of cool videos on there you can see. And don't be afraid to go to patreon.com/interiorweatherwatchers and help me out or become a member on this channel, right? And I know I'm not giving much back to the members in a lot of ways. I'm sincerely thank you, and at some point I will. And I'm obviously crazy busy right now. Try my best for everybody. And I feel compelled, because of your support, to keep making forecasts even when I'm tired, and these are times sometimes over the years I'm like, well, I'm just too busy right now to be your weatherman. Good luck with it. And I feel more compelled to try to keep giving you something, so I hope this helps. I don't know if I can do this many times over the next week, but we'll try to get kind of a look again as the thunderstorms pick up and the heat picks up later on this week. So that's more or less the story for the next bunch of days for your work week. Enjoy it. Enjoy the nice weather while you have it. Down conditions doesn't mean necessarily perfect conditions, but hey, it's the middle of summer and we never got a break like this last year at all. It was just fucking hot and dry right on through, and fires just ripped as long as they wanted to. And then August came along and they went when that windstorm came, right? So the heat was there, and then cold front moved through, dry cold front, and it picked up a lot of wind. So it's always that heat and then cold front that's especially disturbing, right? Because it starts new fires and it makes a lot of wind, and the heat has everything dried out and ready to go, primed to burn. Okay, that's all for me today. Hey, like, share, subscribe. Okay, bye.